Greetings, beloved. I'm Bishop R.G. Mason II, lead pastor of the Impact Church South. And I'd like to take this time to invite you to worship with us in our iChurch worship experience. Many people have been asking the question, what does the I stand for in our church? Well, I stands for Impact. That's who we are. But listen, Impact is not just a word. It's an acronym. It's not just a designation of who we are, but it's a description of what we are. We are innovative ministries productively addressing current times. And one of the ways we're addressing the current times is that we are bringing you prophetic services to minister to you right where you are. We told you many, many times before, when you come to the Impact Church, it's going to be an experience. So listen, I need you to get ready, sit back and wait. God's about to meet you at the very point of your need, and you're about to experience an impact. Well, that's enough of that. I tell you what, let's just go in and worship together. I'm going to go in physically. You're going to come in virtually. Grace and peace. Isaiah chapter 43, and we will begin reading at verse 18. You have it, say amen. If you don't have it, say, preacher, I am coming. If you have it virtually, just drop in the chat. I got it. I got it. Isaiah chapter 43 and verse 18 reads, remember ye not the former things, neither consider the things of old. Behold, or look at this. Let me have your attention. Turn your focus over here. It doesn't matter what's been going on, what is going on. I will do a new thing. Now, whenever you see this phrase, I will, it's an unconditional covenantal phrase. It simply says, doesn't matter what you do, God's going to do what he's got to do. And then it says, now it shall spring forth. Here comes a redundant, conditional, unconditional covenantal phrase. It shall. Doesn't matter how you feel. God has already decided to do what he's going to do. Here's the question. Shall ye not know it? In other words, I'm not hiding it from you. In fact, not only will you see it, but everybody who counted you out and thought you wouldn't have it are about to see it. I will even, becomes this third unconditional covenantal phrase, I will even make a way in the wilderness. When it looks like there is no direction or route to take, I'm just going to make something happen. Watch this, guys. And rivers in a desert, a place where there is no water, I'm going to birth water from dry places. And just when you thought you knew where I was going, for a little while, I want to begin to talk about it's time to take out the trash. It's time to take the trash out. Would you drop that in the chat and say it's time to take out the trash? You in the sanctuary, shout that with me. Say, it's time for me to take out the trash. Father, give me grace in Jesus' name, I pray. Amen. One of the things I found to be true is that anyone who never sees themselves getting better has become settled with the fact that things will never get any better. was Ralph Sherrill who said, and the quote, nobody succeeds beyond his or her wildest expectations unless he or she begins with wild expectations. What Ralph Sherrill seems to suggest within this sagacious saying is that the erection of your dreams begins with having expectational desire. May I then submit for your cognitive consideration that anyone who doesn't have the mind to determine that they can do a thing most likely will not have the muscle that's necessary for the demonstration of a thing. And this is because whatever you haven't already seen happening is saying that it's going to happen, and you have already envisioned happening most likely is not going to happen. Okay, I threw that at you, but you don't. Let me see, can I hit you with this one? You see, expectation is the precursor to executing. Whatever I don't have the nerve to expect, I'll never be able to execute. Whatever I don't have the perception to conceive, I'll never have the power to construct. And whatever I don't have the audacity to dream, I won't have the ability to demonstrate. And this is because achievement isn't just something ascertained by performance, but achievement also requires the prerequisite of perception. You have to see yourself having done it before you have the ability to do it. Okay, you sent for me, I'm coming. You see, if you're going to get where you're trying to go, you're going to need both declaration, but then you're going to need demonstration. You're going to need aspiration, but you're also going to need action. You are going to need mindset, but then after mindset, you're going to have movement. Okay, you missed it. Stop, rewind, play. In this season, God told me I'm placing the blessing upon you, and whatever you have the nerve to desire, if you've got the boldness necessary to give birth to a desire, I'm getting ready to add demonstration to your desire. Okay, you need Bible. Hold up, wait a minute. Let me put some Bible in Psalms 37:4. The writer writes in this particular wise, delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give you the desires of thine heart. In other words, he's going to bless your performance and your preference. He's going to bless your actions and your aspirations. He is going to bless your movement and being your muscle. But being, I'm preaching to people who've had to learn firsthand how to be audacious in a seemingly hopeless situation. And despite your predicament, you have come to the same conclusion redundantly that God has more promises than you have problems. You need Bible. It was Paul that told the church at Rome in Romans 8:18, for I reckon that the sufferings of the present time are not worthy to be compared to the glory which shall be revealed in us. May I then pull to the side of the road and put the car in park and step out and have a conversation and tell you, despite the difficulties of your present predicament, you've got to be bold enough to expect something better. You've got to expect that the Lord's promises are bigger than the land's pandemic. You've got to believe that the Lord is preparing you for tomorrow by leaving you in the pain of today. You've got to believe that the Lord is giving you provision while you're living amid poverty. You ought to type it on the screen so it can be seen. I just won't survive all of this. I'm going to thrive after this. Here is what I'm trying to tell you. When you feel the need to evolve into something and someone better, it only comes when you are exposed to something better. Because exposure now enhances expectation, and expectation is the birth canal of exposure, and evolution is the embryo. Okay, you missed it. Let me flash my light like Men in Black and take that back. Every time you come in contact with something bigger than you, it should cause you to give birth to something better out of you. And that's why Paul told the church at Philippi in 3:13, brethren, I count not myself to already have apprehended, but this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind, reaching forth unto those things which are before, I press toward the mark of the prize of the high calling of God in Christ Jesus. Expectation then, Clark, is a byproduct of exposure, and exposure is predicated upon environment, and most times we cannot elevate above our environment because we become too contaminated by our clutter, and as a result we begin to become relegated to the rubbish that's no longer relevant because we become trapped within the confines of our trash. We've got trash all around us. We've got trash blocking us. We've got trash amid us, wondering what's going on. But it's the trash that's around you that's many times hindering you and keeping you from becoming a better version of you. It was Eric Samuel Tim who said, and I quote, to gain the treasure, you've got to leave the trash. And sometimes you just got to make up in your mind that this stuff no longer brings me value. Those people no longer brings me value. These predicaments no longer bring me value. They are trashy, and I am too classy to remain trashy. You ought to drop it on the screen so it can be seen. I'm too classy to remain trashy. Please don't miss this. Trash, by definition, Nelson, is something worth little to nothing. It's something that may have had value at one point, Jay, but it has no value now. It has no relevance. See, here is the reality, Natasha. Trash did not start off as trash. Trash started off as something that presented a wrapper or a container or a holder of something valuable. But the problem was, once you were done with the outside, getting the outside no longer mattered. But since you held on to the outside, you became cluttered because you tried to hold on to trash or things that are no longer useful or wanted. It's stuff that ought to be thrown away. One writer called it junk and the other writer called it rubbish. But I want to talk to you about trash from an anachronistic perspective. Trash stands for things rendered antiquated, senseless, and hopeless. It's the stuff that used to mean something that means absolutely nothing anymore. It's the people that used to mean something that means absolutely nothing. And it's the places and the predicaments that used to mean something but means absolutely nothing anymore. Trash is something, Bennett, that is no longer bringing you value. And in this season, you've got to have enough courage to admit that there are some people that you love, but they don't bring value to your life. And you've got to get them out of your life before they begin to devalue you. You've got to have more courage than that. Here comes the courage to admit that you don't bring value to some people's lives. Because sometimes the relationship is bad, not because they are bad, but because you're bad for them. And you've got to be able to say, I am no longer valuable. Watch this. You've got to understand that trash is not only something that no longer brings you value, but watch this. Sometimes trash is something that was never valuable. I'll never forget. I took out a lot of stuff and I put it on the street for the trash man on Tuesday when the trash man runs. And I watched this man come by the house. He went, stopped at everybody's trash can and looked inside of every trash can and came to my house, got all of the stuff that I threw out, and then drove off. It messed me up. I said, God, this was no longer valuable. He said, it was no longer valuable to you. But here is the reality. Just when you thought I was giving you the permission to go through somebody else's trash, I'm telling you, some stuff has no value for you or anybody else. And you've got to know how to put some stuff out so other folk can have, because one man's junk is another man's treasure. But sometimes you got to know how to burn the trash because it's no good for anybody. I never forget when I got saved, God began to deal with me, Liz, and I felt God changing my life. I was in a hotel room. I tell this story all the time, and God began to deal with me. He pricked my heart. I became convicted. I had a fifth of black cherry Cisco. Black cherry. Listen. I had a quarter-ounce sack of weed, and I had a pack of Benson and Hedges cigarettes. And so God told me I had to get that stuff. Or I had a six-pack of Michelob, or the bottles. I had to give that up. And I said, okay, God, I'm going to leave the Michelob right here. I'm going to leave the Benson and Hedges right here. I'm going to even leave the Cisco right here. I said, but I paid too much money for this weed. I can get this weed to somebody. Who am I talking to? Sometimes we just like to hold on the trash. There comes a time when you get so much trash in you until you like to hold on to trashy stuff. But see, sometimes trash is not that which is no longer valuable, not that which was never valuable. But watch this. Sometimes trash is that which is venerable. Venerable is a $10 word with a 10-cent meaning. That means it's just old. Doesn't mean that it wasn't valuable at some point, but it no longer has relevance for where you are now. There are some, can we talk like we're family? Have you noticed sometimes you run into people and y'all try to rekindle and kick it and talk about old times, but you can't ever get it where it needs to be because you have outgrown certain people and situations, and sometimes your conversation is relegated to back then. Did you not know that back then is the lowest form of communication? If we have nothing in common now, if we have nothing that we're trying to aspire to do in the future, we can have a laugh about what we did, have a good time about what went on, but we got to move on from one another because I cannot afford to dwell in trash. Here's what God asked me though, Mother Abner, here's what God asked me. He said, why are you holding on to trash? And then I got a little attitude because I don't hold on to no trash. He said, no, I'm not talking about what you think I'm talking about. He said, trash isn't limited to inanimate objects only. He said, trash can be a place that no longer affords you the path necessary to push you into purpose. He said trash can be a predicament, the same cycle you keep getting yourself in when you know what it's going to lead to, but your flesh keep telling you yes when your future keeps telling you no. I don't know who I'm talking to right now. You've got to be careful in this season because your flesh will want something that your future cannot handle, and God said, I'm trying to take you somewhere, but I can't get you from the trash that you're in right now. Here it is. Here it is, guys. Please don't miss this. He said, trash can be possessions. Some things that you were used to holding on to that you are now hoarding over when God told you to get rid of it. And anytime God tells you to subtract something, he's trying to add something to your life. But sometimes we have a problem getting rid of stuff because we think God's trying to take something from us as opposed to give something to. Trash can be people. You got to know what trashy people look like in this season. Not their clothes, not necessarily what they look like. Sometimes it's even deeper than what they sound like or what they articulate. It is what their intentions are. It is what's inside of their heart, and it's how they perceive you and what God has called you to do. And anybody in your life today that does not complement your life today has been sent in your life to be a complication for your life tomorrow. And you've got to know how to determine who's trash. Y'all are so good. What? Can we talk? Why do we hold on to trash? Is it because of perception? Because of faulty lenses? Because we see things wrongly? Why do we hold on to trash? Is it because of performance? Because I'm just too lazy to pick it up. So I'd rather leave it in front of me. Is it because of our past? Because we're so nostalgic. We let stuff linger. It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday. But here is the relentless reality. Whenever you hold on to trash too long, there are three suggestive possibilities. Number one, there's an odor. It starts to stink. And what's interesting about trash is it can be in the kitchen, but you can smell it in the bedroom. What's interesting about trash is it will pollute your entire dwelling. And when people come into your house, they don't wonder what's wrong with your house. They automatically equate you with the smell of your house. You may not shout with this one, but see, having an odor with trash ain't the worst thing you can have. Sometimes the worst thing trash can do for you is present an obstruction. Oh, don't look at me like that. I've seen some of y'all cars. I walk y'all to the car and look like y'all eat and just do that. So the problem now is that trash becomes an obstruction. And all of a sudden, you got so much trash around you that you can't even hardly move anymore. You come in church and barely open your mouth and lift your hands. You don't hardly want to say amen. You got an attitude. And sometimes we think you're just trying to be the devil. But I figured it out. You just got a lot of trash. And the trash has become an obstruction. And you cannot move beyond it. Here it is, though, Clark. It's not just so bad that it's an obstruction and that it's odoriferous or has created an odor. What's bad, guys, is that it makes me miss opportunity. Because whenever there's so much trash in my way, I don't know how to get out when God's calling me out. Whenever there's trash in my, I've been praying for me a good man, but I got this old trashy dude with me. So when the good man comes, I can't get over the trash. I've been looking for the right opportunity for business, but I'm so caught up in all of these get rich quick schemes. When the right thing comes, I can't. I've been looking for a way out, but I got so much trash. And so, if it's an odor, Natasha, it makes it stinks. Ashley, see, if it's an obstruction, it makes me get stuck. But if it makes me miss opportunity, I forfeit success. Yeah, Benny, you thought you knew the word, didn't you? But here is the reality. God asked me a question. When are you going to stop talking trash and start taking out the trash? You didn't like it. I got to say that again. Stop, rewind, and play. When are you going to stop talking about that Keith Sweat? Now, you ain't from my era. You don't know what that is. Keith Sweat had a phrase, I'm gonna. When are you going to constantly stop talking about what you're going to do and start doing? And be, yeah, you don't know me. I'm quiet, but I'm making moves. You ain't making nothing but a mess of your life because all you do is talk trash, but you never deal with your trash. Here it is. When you come to the point where you feel like dealing with trash, what you're in essence saying is, I want to deal with the stuff that's abortive but not advancing, that's senseless but not strategic, that's hopeless but it's not helpful. You ought to pop your collar and holler one more time. I'm too classy to remain trashy. As a matter of fact, type it on the screen so it can be seen. I'm tired of just being a trash talker. I'm about to take out the trash. Here's what God told me to tell you. He says, sometimes your life can become so cluttered until your future becomes constricted. Now understand this, guys. Here is the reality about clutter, because again, I haven't seen some of y'all cars. I've been in some of y'all houses. Here's the reality. You don't wake up one day and be nasty. What happens is you say, oh, them spaghettis was so good. But you know what? Ooh, I'm tired. I'll clean that. I'll wash dishes tomorrow. Then you wake up late. And now you got to hurry and get you something to eat, cook some breakfast. Ooh, I'm late. I ain't got no time. I'll wash them dishes this evening. Then when you come in this evening, you're tired, so you grit you a little more. I'll clean up later. And before long, steadily and subtly, the whole kitchen nasty. You drop and waste a little juice, but you're so hungry and your food hot, don't want it to get cold. So I'm gonna go eat and I'm gonna come back and get the juice up. And over a period of time, you know how we do. When we eat, we get blackish. You know, y'all black folk know what I'm talking about. And now you're lazy, you got itis, and you go to sleep, and then you wake up, the juice is still there, but now you have staggering and you got your mouth dry, you go get some more juice, wasting some more juice on the floor. And now you got a solution sticky like super glue on your floor. But see, I want you to get this. It sounds comical, but please get what I'm trying to tell you. Nastiness, trashiness doesn't happen overnight. It's when you refuse to deal with stuff. And Jay, they thought I was talking about cleaning up their nasty kitchen, which I am. But what I am talking about more so than that is the fact that you had little things in your life that you refuse to deal with, that you refuse to expose, you refuse to confront. And now it's piled up and becomes something so big that you can't deal with. Trash! God said this to me. He said, boy, you've been living your life restricted to rubbish that is no longer relevant because you're trashy. He said, can we talk? Have you noticed that we got more Christians, more civil young ladies raised in nice environments that's in love with Nikki and Meg than hood chicks? Because they all want that Sasha Fierce type mentality. Because you've been taught by Beyonce that it's good to have an alter ego. And so you just got nastiness in you. Y'all quiet now. You just like to listen to foolish stuff like that. Here is the reality. That's because Paul said, in your flesh dwells no good thing. And you wonder why sometimes you want a little trash. Because there's a trashy nature on the inside of you that keeps you relegated to trashy stuff that doesn't want you to get rid of it. So as a result, we find ourselves restricted to rubbish that's no longer relevant and is piled up over a period of time. Simply because you refuse to take out the trash. Let's talk about trash for a moment, because trash doesn't just happen. Trash happens, a pile up over a period of time. You were abused as a child, trash. You got molested as a child, trash. Now, I'm not saying that's your fault, but see, what happened was you became so fearful you never told anybody. And so as a result, you've been walking around suppressing what happened to you. And now it's messed up all the relationships you've had. You've not felt loved genuinely by anybody. And now you can't even be real with the people who want to be real with you because you got trash. And you can't hide it because we smell it on you. You act out trashy. Here it is. You had a learning disability in school. That's why they made fun of you. The teacher mocked you, didn't spend time with you, and now you grew up to be inferior. You think everybody's talking. Can we talk like we family one more time? Ain't nobody talking about you. Don't nobody even care that much. But here's the reality. Inferiority has caused you to believe that people are always talking about you, always against you, never like you. You're always in your head going through scenarios that are not even possible because of trash. Heartbreak. Somebody who you love. There ain't nothing worse than loving somebody that don't love you back. Heartbreak. And as a result, when you find somebody who do loves you, you cannot love them adequately, and they can't love you the way they want to because you are so bogged down in trash. That divorce, when you didn't want to be divorced, when you wanted to make it work, but they did not. And as a result, you have become contaminated relationally. Trash. They fired you off that job. It was a good job. You thought you were going to retire there, but they felt like they no longer needed your services. And because of that, you've been walking around dealing with trash. You can't even get your dreams on paper to make them become a reality because you're bogged down in trash. And instead of dealing with it and discarding it, you've been denying the reality of it. And as a result, your dwelling place is full of clutter and just out of control. Do you not know, guys, that you can be a very clean individual that tries your best to practice proper hygiene, but you can look at how cluttered your reality and your situation has become and become so depressed until you just sit down in the trash. You just go to bed in the trash. Because at this point, you become so overwhelmed until you don't think there is no possible way out. Play softly. I'm getting ready to close this. I want you to hear this. One of the enemy's greatest ploys is to make you feel as if your situation is so dark and so dismal that God can't bring you out of it. One of his greatest ploys is to make you feel like it's just too late because it's so out of hand, so far out of control until there can be no new reality for you. Here's what God told me to tell you. He said, son, tell my people, I want y'all to write this. If you don't get nothing else, write this down. Matter of fact, you don't get nothing else, leave an offering. Write this down and then leave. Please don't miss this. He said there are 3 suggestive things you're going to be in this particular season. He said either you're going to be a trash can. Trash can is a receptacle that you put stuff in. You know, I tell folk all the time. They say, you know what, Bishop? Boy, you say anything. I say, yep, and I ain't depressed either. You know why? Because depression is anger suppressed. It's when you can't say what you feel and you walk around on eggshells all the time. When I'm not saying be rude to people, but I'm saying make people respect who you are. But you never do that. And you always downplay yourself. You always kowtow to people. And so therefore you always end up depressed. And sometimes when that pressure becomes too much, you burst. And that's because you let people make you a trash can. They talk about you, you take it. They use you, you take it. You get hurt, you take it. Just a trash can. You go to this church looking for folk to love you, looking for things to be different. But then you run into the same kind of people at this church as you did the last church. You just take it. Trash can. You leave one job and you get another job. Run into the same type of supervisor. Same situations. And you just take it. Trash can. You get in relationships with people who don't value you, take advantage of you. Instead of you doing something about it and making them respect your worth and demanding that they treat you the way you want to be treated, you take it. Trash can. You never felt love growing up. You always felt like the ugly duckling. So you begin to feel like that's how you're supposed to be treated. Trash can. See, that's a trash can. But then write the second one down. The second one is called a trash compactor. Bennett, if there ever was one of the most obsolete items in my entire house, I think it's a trash compactor. I don't even know what that's for. They say it's for not necessarily retaining trash, because that's what a trash can is for. Matter of fact, write that down beside trash can. It's for retaining. But D'Anthony, watch this. Here is what they say a trash compactor is for. It's for reducing. See, you thought you were getting delivered, but all you were doing was making room for more trash. And that's what many of us do. That's why we say silly stuff like, to get over one, you got to get under another. No, you're compacting. That's why we'll run from one predicament and then go to another, because we are compacting. That's all we're doing. Piling one thing on top of the other, continuously compacting the trash. Now, what's interesting is when you shift from being a can to a compactor, you think that your capacity is increasing. That's not what's happening. You've learned to adapt to abnormality and dysfunction. Because by now I'm used to being treated this way. So now I'm just not only a trash can, I'm a trash compactor. Can I tell you what's interesting, guys, about a trash compactor? Is that although this particular bag that's inside of here did not belong in here, if I push it and I apply enough pressure and I continue to push it and I apply enough pressure, I can make this can conform, increase its capacity for pain, increase its capacity for pressure, and make it ultimately do what it wasn't designed to do. But then here comes the third one. The third one is a trash collector. See, there is a certain degree of joy that I get on Monday night. Because on Monday night, I go through the house. I get the bathroom trash can. I get the kitchen trash can. I get all of the rubbish. I take it, I compile it, and I put it together. Because there is a hope and a promise that I'm used to that's fulfilled on Tuesday. See, on Tuesday, my trash collector comes. And as a matter of fact, I'm so sorry, I've been saying the wrong word. They changed my day. You're going to like this one. On Wednesday, my trash collector comes. And all I have to do is take my trash, set it out, and he comes to pick it up. I don't have to get out there with him. All I have to do is make it visible to him. Somebody's going to get this after a while. You thought I was still cleaning up the altar, packing a trash can, but I'm telling you, the one reason why Many of you have not been delivered from trash. It's because you won't set it out. Jesus is your trash collector tonight. There's some stuff you've been living with. There's some stuff you've been laying in. There's some stuff you've been laying with that he says tonight, I want to deliver you from. I want to take your trash. I know this does not necessarily denote the proper etiquette during COVID activity. But I want those of you who are in the sanctuary, who's tired of the trash in your life, whether you have some physically or you just have that metaphoric trash, I want you to come and I want you to release it tonight at this altar. You on live watching us virtually, I want you to know that the holy trash collector is here tonight. And he has come to take your trash. I don't know what it is, and I don't need to know what it is. You don't have to drop it on the screen so it can be seen. But you've got to drop it in your proverbial can and tell the Lord, I'm sick of living in trash. I'm too classy to be trashy. I need to be clean. Maybe you're here and maybe you're watching virtual and you don't know the Lord Jesus Christ and the pardon of your sins. What greater time to get to know him than now? Thank you so much, Tejan. I see you, Colleen Payne. I see you. I see you. I see you. You're at the spiritual altar with your trash can. I see you. Some of you right where you are in your break room, bedroom, living room, you may just want to get your own receptacle and you may just want to start throwing stuff in there right now. You just may want to start throwing stuff in there right now. Trash. As a matter of fact, can y'all come back to the altar for a moment? Help me. I just heard the Holy Ghost say this. I don't know why he told me to leave this stuff down here. He said, this is y'all's. Now again, you pick it up determined by your picking it up. You ought to be determined by how much trash you want to get rid of. I'm going to prophesy something so crazy, Diane. So crazy, Apostle Ford. But God told me to do this. Some of y'all, your deliverance is going to come while you cleaning up your house tonight. No, I mean literally cleaning up your house. Your deliverance is going to come. And I know it ain't in the Bible, but they said it was, but it's not. They said cleanliness is next to godliness. That's not in the Bible. But I believe there's something prophetic on that statement tonight. I believe when you clean up tonight, something is about to happen. Man, I wish y'all could see the power of God in this sanctuary. I wish y'all could see how God is touching people in this. I wish y'all could feel the grace of God, how the holy trash collector, I prophesy your trash is being removed. I prophesy your rubbish is being removed. I prophesy that God is coming to take away the stuff that's no longer relevant in your life. You being delivered tonight. I know you were sullied, but you're being delivered. I know you were derailed, but you're being delivered. I know it. I know it. I know. Thank you. Thank you, Apostle Ford. Thank you. Can y'all drop some trash cans in the chat? Thank you, Apostle Ford. I saw that. Drop some trash cans in the chat. That's indicative of the fact that you're getting rid of some clutter tonight. That God is doing some stuff for you that you did not have the ability to do for yourself. After tonight, you're about to have more room. After tonight, you're about to be able to move more freely. After tonight, the trash is gone. The trash is gone. Here's what I gotta leave you with. I always leave you with what we call sound bites, practical principles for you to take home. The first thing I want you to do in this season, if you're going to take your trash out, I want you to make yourself a priority. Can I give you something parenthetically that I think will change your life because it changed my ministry? Do you know, I used to be the kind of pastor to stay up all night with everybody. Until I realized when I hung up and stayed up all night, them folk went to bed. And some of the people didn't even listen nor apply some of the stuff I said when I stayed up all night and told them, didn't it? So here's what I learned. I stopped letting people, write this down, make me make their emergency my urgency. Because I asked myself the question, I wonder what they'd do if they didn't have me. Survive, make a way, find a way. And some of you are so constantly making yourself available for people who won't be available for you until you are giving all of yourself away for free. Make yourself a priority. You are not obligated to give yourself away. All right. You went to 6, huh? Okay. Number 2, conduct an internal audit of the things you need to get rid of. See, if there's one thing I learned about this pandemic, man, or from this pandemic, I learned what's essential and what's non-essential. I grew up with a mama who was a pack rat, Bennett. I don't like to throw away nothing hardly. But then there's time God to tell me, boy, you don't need them papers. I'm going to read them one day. No, you're not. Some things you just hold on to, just to hoard. Do an audit. Find out what, who, and where is relevant for now. Not saying it wasn't relevant at one point, but is it relevant now? If it's not, get rid of it. Number 3, start with small things. Don't try to tackle everything at one time. Start with the main stuff. You know what it is more than anybody. And stop trying to compromise when you've already been compromised. Did you hear that one? But because we've been compromised, we try to create a compromise with God. You will not make it right. It's wrong. Get rid of it. But then, number 4, get rid of those things that no longer serve a purpose in your life. It had it, but it does not now. It's got to go. Number 5, let go of the people who have been in your life long past their expiration date. Oh, you didn't like that because you said, how can you treat people like an op? Some people have expiration dates. They're not meant to be for a lifetime. They're meant to be for a little time. And you've got to know the difference between lifers and, can I make up a word? Littlers. Last, number 6. Please don't miss this one. Don't look back. I say this to you. Stop playing in the trash. When it's gone, it's gone. Let it go. Sometimes God demands removal so he can make room for a renewal. I'm done with this. Write this down, give an offering, and go home. Write this down. Who or what are you keeping from coming into your life because of who or what you won't demand leave your life? Sometimes you can't get the trophy because you won't get rid of the trash. We're taking the trash out tonight.
Wow, wasn't that an experience? Didn't I tell you? I thought I told you. I should have told you that every time you come to the Impact Church, you're going to experience what we have coined as the 3 R's. Yes, our services are rated R. It's real, it is relevant, and it is raw. Well, listen, beloved, we thank God that you chose to worship with us on today. We look forward to worshiping with you again very soon at the same time, at the same channel, but it won't be the same experience, we promise you. Thank you so much. Grace and peace.